My name is Jackie Johnson, born and raised in Los Angeles. So, yes, I'm a native Los Angelino. You don't find many of us out in the wild, but we do exist. And I am a psychologist by trade. So, I'm based in Los Angeles, but I work out of seeing clients out in California, in the states of California. Yes, absolutely. So I was actually introduced to story work maybe about a year ago through a podcast and kind of then found my way to the art of living training. Actually, I had a colleague who had went through the previous cycle and she raved about it. She's like, you got to do it. You got to do it. And so I was so intrigued by the idea of story work that I immediately signed up and so glad that I did. What is so interesting, one, the training is so comprehensive, which I was so blown away by. I kind of liken it to, we kind of went at a 30,000 foot level for some kind of really high level ideas about what trauma is, what story work is. But then I loved how we zoomed in throughout the course as well into how does this impact me as an individual, me as a part of a community. And then I also love the role plays, the story engagements that happened in the group. And so you got a taste of everything. And so much learning, and even coming from my profession, there was still so much to learn about what trauma is. And I felt that it was so up to date with research and kind of cutting edge, what's new, what do we know now about trauma and how it affects the body, how it affects our communities. And so another thing that I loved was that it wasn't just like individual focused, it was community focused as well, to look at trauma at a more global, societal, community level. And I love that. I feel like that's such the wave of the future and where we're at, of moving away from just an individual focus about trauma to like really we're so interconnected in these systems, and how do we affect one another? And so that was so profound for me. And then the icing on the cake was, having our own story group that we were a part of for the weeks of the training, and getting to really live out and flesh out the things that we were learning in the training sessions. And so it kind of really brought it home, and, helping me kind of really connect to the material and like reflect on my own experiences, my own life, but also in the back of my mind, like, wow, this is so powerful for like everyone needs to be a part of this. Another thing that I loved was, yes, the diversity of the teaching staff. As a Black woman, that's something I'm always kind of aware of. It's like, okay, what's the diversity of the rooms that I'm entering into? And will they be able to speak to issues of diversity in all its forms, not just race and ethnicity, but in all of its forms? And the leaders, with Cindy kind of spearheading it, was such a profoundly safe space for me as a woman of color. And the group was phenomenal as well in terms of its diversity, and also making space for diverse thoughts and ideas and opinions and histories and experiences. And I felt like everyone had the opportunity to really come as fully as they wanted to come into the space, and open up themselves as much as they wanted and are needed to. And so it's so profound and so important that this type of training and really healing work, I feel like it's such sacred healing work, should be available to everyone. And I do recognize even my own privileges of being able to afford a training like this. But yeah, my mind immediately goes to, because I'm always kind of a social justice focused person, like who doesn't have access? And sometimes the people who don't have access for financial reasons or other reasons, a lot of times I feel like they're the ones who could benefit the most from really this work of trauma, this trauma work and story work. And so having scholarships available for people who are not able to afford it would be so huge, so profound. And some radical ideas I have about just folks who have been marginalized and communities who have been marginalized. I am from the firm belief that I think healing work should be available to them for no cost, really, because of especially being in American society and folks who have been marginalized, the trauma that comes from just being in a part of a marginalized group. That should be a part of reparations for folks and like really evening out the playing field. And so with scholarships available, I think, not that I think, I know that would be you guys partnering to really even out the playing field and providing healing and an avenue for healing for folks who wouldn't otherwise have access to. So I work primarily with Black women. And so that's where my heart and passion lies, of working with Black women. And so I'm already in the works of developing a story group for Black women. And it's such a testament, like I said before, of like healing happens in community. And while I love the bulk of my work right now is individual work, so I know there's power in that, but I think there's a next level of power to really be unlocked and unleashed when there's a group of people coming together to learn, to grow, and to heal. And so that's currently in the works. Hopefully I can launch that by the fall, fingers crossed. But really working with professional Black women is more, and even more specifically than that, because there's a kind of a meta narrative, a meta story about the strong Black woman and what that has meant, how that has both helped and harmed Black women. And I think it kind of intersects so well with their own personal stories of trauma and personal narratives. And so I'm really looking at, these meta narratives and cultural narratives that exist, and how does that intersect with our personal narratives and stories of trauma. So really, really excited and looking forward to doing that work.